Hey there, and welcome to another episode of If the Phrase Fits. I'm Brian Foden. You know, there are a lot of phrases involving animals. Let's start with horses. This one is actually a proverb, which is similar to an idiom. It's, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If you've never heard this one, it's gotta be confusing to you. What's a gift horse, and why would you want to look it in the mouth anyway? I'll deal with that in a moment. First, what the heck does this proverb mean? Well, it just means that if someone gives you a gift or does you a favor, don't criticize it. I'll give you a quick example. Let's say John gets an old smartphone from a friend. The smartphone has a few problems, so John says, "This smartphone isn't very good." John's friend Henry points out that it was a gift and says, "Don't look a gift horse in the mouth." Then Henry calls John an ingrate. I love that word. I don't know why, but it's just a great word, an ingrate, a really ungrateful person. Anyway, how did this expression come into being? Apparently, this phrase began to be used in English starting about 500 years ago, but the idea itself might be a lot older than that. Some sites, like the Free Dictionary, say a Latin version of the phrase was found in the 4th century writings of a priest named St. Jerome. It dates back to a time when horses were much more important to humans than they are now. In the old days, wait a minute, let me use my old guy voice for this. In the old days, when buying horses, people would check sometimes the animal's teeth. That would be a way of telling how old the animal was. Okay, that's enough of the old guy voice, but what about if the horse was a gift? A gift horse, right? It would be rude to look in the mouth of a gift horse to see how old it was. It would be as if someone gave you a gift today and you asked them, "How much did this cost?" Here's another phrase that involves the use of horses. Hold your horses. Basically, it means, wait a minute. Stop what you're doing. Hold on. I checked some sources on the net about the origin, and naturally, they are all related to the stopping of horses. However, there is some disagreement on exactly where, when, and how it started. If you heard my episodes before or ever tried to research the origin of idioms, you shouldn't be surprised by that. A website called Know Your Phrase says it might be related to the building of the Erie Canal in New York in the 1800s. Horses were used to pull barges through the canal, so I suppose hold your horses might have meant stop the barge. But according to Wikipedia and a few other sources, in the epic Greek poem, the Iliad, which was written in the 8th century BC, Homer uses the phrase, not that Homer, hold your horses, when writing about a chariot race. I'm guessing it's in Greek, not English, in the Iliad, though. I guess you could say the origin of that phrase is Greek to me. If you're not sure what that idiom, "it's Greek to me," means, it means I don't understand it. Since this is not an animal idiom, I won't be including it in this episode. Now, the next phrase is about birds. It's also a proverb. It goes, "Birds of a feather flock together." It just means that people often hang out with those who are similar to them in terms of tastes and interests. It might be used as a kind of comment on people. Let's say Betty says, and now I get to use my bad female impersonation voice. I'm also going to do it with a bad British accent, too. Betty says, "Simon and Richard spend an awful lot of time together, don't they?" Betty's friend, Doris, who is also female and British and a fan of old Monty Python TV shows, replies, "Yes, they do. I'm not surprised. They both like watching sport on the telly and cars a lot. Birds of a feather flock together, you know." In case you are not familiar with Monty Python, it's a great funny show of the late 1960s to the early 70s from Britain. That's a theme song I'm playing right now. It turns out that this proverb is also centuries old. Several sources I checked trace it back to around the mid-1500s, so more than 450 years ago. It has been credited to a writer named William Turner, and he was commenting on Catholics as far as I've read. Time to recap briefly. We first looked at the proverb, "Don't look a gift horse in the mouth," meaning don't criticize something that was done as a gift or a favor. Then we checked out an idiom involving horses. Hold your horses, which means to stop or wait and be patient. Next, we talked about a different animal with the proverb, "Birds of a feather flock together," which means people who have similar tastes and interests tend to hang out with each other. If you'd like to suggest an idiom, proverb, or other expression, please email me at ifthephrasefits@gmail.com. And thanks for listening.